so like we did for the Dark Knight trilogy, and I think we did it for Avatar as well.
Probably.
And maybe Pirates, I think, too. But anyway, we're going to do just looking back from Psycho, Nope, Final Destination, and this, The Exorcist. We're just going to each do a takeaway, like a creative takeaway that we're taking from this whole cycle, or more than one. Yeah, I'll just say this was not going to be one of mine. I'm going to take the conversation we just had about character, like either do it doubly get us invested, or go halfway. I think in horror specifically, probably true of other genres, but I think especially horror. Like, I won't elaborate because we talked about it, but I think that's a takeaway that I am going to do. Do either of you want to go first with this?
I'll go first. For me, the biggest takeaway is horror is the most successful when it plays into theater of the mind, and our imagination is the scariest thing that we have. And once, like Jelani said it a lot of times, once you see it and you're able to compartmentalize that visual, the horror is kind of fleeting. And even like with The Exorcist, of these films, I think The Exorcist probably is the least scary to me. Like the shower scene in Psycho, I'll take over anything that happens in The Exorcist, because a shower is a sensory deprivation tank where it's just sound, you're getting touched, it's wet, it's so much happening you can't see because the unknown beyond that curtain is huge. And the only time this movie taps into that in full effect to me is that priest scene, because then finally it's like everything is unknown and we're just gonna have to see how this ends in the last 5 minutes. And same through A Final Destination. And with Nope, so much of the success of that is the theater of the mind and the unknown and what we do to ourselves when we watch these stories. And I think when we get to Halloween with my next two, that's a huge one as well that taps into that. And it's just, that's my favorite kind of horror. Even when reading horror, that's my favorite kind of horror.
I can't tell you when I was growing up how many times like I shampooed my hair and then tried to quickly get the soap out of my eyes and check to make sure there was nobody ready to kill me. I hadn't even seen Psycho by that point, but irrational fears. Yeah. I have a couple. Number one, the takeaway from the horror trilogy, quadrilogy.
I think we're counting Psycho, so quadrilogy.
I guess. Be scary. Be scary. Like, if you can't scare me, bro, even if it's something niche or something people wouldn't think about being scared of, like log trucks, this is your one job to be classified as a horror movie. Be scary, please. I think we kind of touched on it. Don't reveal your monsters at all if you can help it, or wait till the very end. I wouldn't say not to reveal your monsters. I think Alien does it really well from what I've seen of it. I haven't fully seen that movie either, but if we're going to spend a majority of the time in your movie with characters before some of them die, make them memorable at the very least, like Evan said. And be creative with your monster if your horror film has one. Creativity really goes a long way in stuff like this. Like, it's supposed to be fantastical, so yeah.
Yeah, I think to quote something that David said way back in our Godzilla vs. Kong episode, show me how many mouths the xenomorph has. Like, get us all of the, like, show us everything. If you're gonna, like, don't just give us, I mean, not to come at something that's considered iconic, but is Predator that cool of a monster? It's a alien with, I don't find it
so.
that good.
No, not design wise, but not better than the Xenomorph.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
Absolutely.
I think the Predator is kind of a boring design, like, physically, but yeah,
no,
in terms of
one
like
of the coolest.
Yeah,
to me,
I love the Xenomorph.
Yeah,
I love the Xenomorph so much. And I do think Predator gets scarier when he takes his mask off. Like when that finally
That's what I'm
happens at
thinking.
the
That's
end of
where
the
I was
movie,
thinking. Yeah.
that's when you're
Yeah.
like, what the hell? Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Um. That's all my takeaways.
Okay. Well, mine is not. Mine might sound like it is contradicting one of yours, but it's not. My takeaway is do more than scare us, because I unlike you am not typically scared by horror movies. Like, I think A Quiet Place, the jump scares got me in a fun way, but that's the only time that that's happened. And granted, I haven't like tested too many waters with like the jump scare side of horror, just because I haven't. But like, I think I'm maybe like across these four movies, I am like scared at all maybe like three times in any of these. Like a couple of the I talked about with Final Destination, like I was a little paranoid after, so it got me there. There's a couple of shots in Nope that I think are like kind of get me in that like fight or flight area.
That house
with like
scene.
the animals. Which one?
The house scene too, with when it's raining and it's over the
And it
house.
just like
starts
vomits on
raining
them.
blood. Yeah.
That gets me.
That's not one for me. Mine's, I think I mentioned the one where Gordy's like coming at the camera. That one gets me.
Ooh.
And then a couple of like, I think just the presence of like Jean Jacket throughout like the second half kind of hits for that too. But that's a little bit more fun than like scary. I just think it's kind of cool.
An odd one that gets me from Nope is when OJ realizes the cloud wasn't moving. Like, it's not played to be horror or horrific in any of its direction, but just when you think about how much you just don't notice if you keep your head down and how much could be going on around you, and it's just like that, I always think, like, well, that's very unsettling. I need to look out more.
Yeah, that's fair. But, I mean, that is just not where I find these movies engaging, is like, I don't like these because I get scared by them, because I generally kind of don't. But I think all of these have at least something compelling to them, and like beyond the fear that they're trying to generate. And I think that's like, I as somebody who doesn't vibe with horror movies can still like be engaged or get something out of these. Like Nope, I think it's just a blast every time I watch it, and it has some really compelling themes. Psycho has a good character story in the first half and some like really good Hitchcock tension scenes in the second half. Final Destination, like, it's kind of trashy, but I was leaning forward in all of those death scenes. Like, it got me with the anticipation. Like, it worked. And I kind of hate to say it, I think The Exorcist is my least favorite of these four that we did, but that exorcism scene, really solid. And there's like, I think a 90-minute cut of this movie could be a half star higher for me. Like, I think I could have... I saw that there's a director's cut that's even longer, and I don't want that. I want this to be the director's cut and the theatrical one to be 90 minutes, personally. But, like, that, I think that is my takeaway, is just, like, give us, like... Mystery is a good way to do it, like checking both boxes, because you can have like fear of the unknown, but also like a mystery is just a good way to make your audience lean forward whether they're scared or not. And I don't know if this is a theory I'm like willing to stand by super hard, but maybe when horror movies just try for scares, that's when they become cheap and forgettable and just try to do like disturbing imagery and jump scares just to be like, ha, see, we got you, you're scared, boom, we win.
Honestly, it's the same with horror games. Like, biggest example I can think of recently that everybody probably knows about by this point is Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, that originally was just cheap jump scares, the game. But games like PT, I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, that stays with you. It was a canceled video game, and I've never wanted a horror game to be made as badly as that one. It was Hideo Kojima, and Norman Reedus was supposed to be the main character, and you're going through hallways, but it's the same hallway and something's a little different every time.
Oh, that's
you go
that
through.
game.
I
I know what that
wanted
is.
to see that game so badly because I've never felt that way, that those chills from a horror game since that or before that. Like, and now it's been announced Hideo Kojima and Jordan Peele are working on a horror video game, and
Ooh.
oh boy,
Wow.
I think I might even buy it just to support them working together. Like the idea of them doing something together is absolutely nuts. But
I mean, if any
I was
name
just-
is going to get me to buy a horror game, it's Jordan Peele. I've never played horror games. I don't think I would enjoy them, but
I played
it's
Outlast.
Jordan Peele.
That
Oh.
game.
That
Well,
game's
the second
funny.
one. I'm sorry. I streamed the second game, and what scared me more than actually being outside in that game was the school scenes where you're by yourself and literally anything can happen. But sorry, I was saying all that to support your point, Evan. Don't go for the cheap stuff. Make stuff that'll like stick with people. That's kind of the point of movies. Like you don't want people to just forget, right?
I think it
You want them
depends.
to come back. Well, it depends on what you're making. Like
yeah.
Transformers, I don't think is gonna stick with people. But
I think it notoriously does not stick with people because of Michael Bay's visual style. You're just like, bleh, two trucks smashing, bleh, junkyard, explosions,
Yeah.
Megan
it
Fox.
depends on the movie,
Dullest
of
color
course.
palette.
Yeah,
I would
orange
disagree
and
with you there.
blues.
I kind of like the color palette in that.
It's a lot of
movie.
orange and blue.
A lot of orange and blue.
Even the people are normally like orange in hue.
Well,
Sweaty.
whenever like Michael Bay is one of the worst offenders of like we're in the Middle East, everything is yellow. Like he's one of the most extreme offenders of that trope, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend going for the. If you want to like last, if you know the type of movie you want, go for the. You can go for scares, of course. That's like. To me, that's the main thing. Go for that, but also say something.
Yeah.
Or make it
I
about.
think
Make it about
I think
something.
I'm gonna push back on you a little bit because I'm with you, except that I don't think you have to do that because Final Destination I don't think does any of those, and that was still a good time. Like I don't know if I'm ever gonna watch any of those others, but
You could say
It was fun.
It was telling you to be careful.
yeah,
That's what it was
which is
saying.
not a bad
Be careful.
lesson. Like it's not that deep,
Hey.
but it's like, hey, don't pick up
Maybe-
those scissors.
Yeah,
maybe.
Do a double take at your kitchen knives. Were they there before?
Right.
Or did
Be a
Beth
bit
move
more
them?
aware and cautious of your
Yeah.
surroundings.
Obey the signs
saying
at the
something.
tanning salon. I bet a lot of people took tanning salon rules more seriously after they watched Final
Don't be
Destination
stupid.
3.
Final Destination is saying don't be stupid because a lot of those deaths are those people's faults.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. And again, I mean, maybe to really tie it back to Psycho, be careful, like, what the message is, because, that kind of has an undertone of, like, watch out for men wearing dresses. And, again, I don't think that movie is necessarily cancel-worthy because of that, but there's been impacts. So, do both. Have fun, say something, but watch your message, I guess.
Yeah.
I want to push back a bit on the like you have to be memorable because there's a place for like the trashy side of this, and like I don't want to say that like everything should go for that, but it has its place, and
For sure.
like there's and I've kind of come to appreciate that like in other genres, like just
Oh yeah.
like you can have like I'd rather watch something that's like campy and like In Time is a movie that I love because it just goes really hard. I don't want In Time to like take itself more seriously. I love that it commits to the bit so hard. Like I think I said it when we did that episode. In Time over Limitless any day. Like
Well, yeah.
Limitless tries to go for that like broad appeal, say something. In Time says something, but it's like I don't know. I think you can. There's actually kind of an art to low art, and
Oh my God, yeah.
I've come to appreciate that more.
Lucy
Recently.
over Psycho, Halloween, Alien, any day.
Yeah. Because Lucy
I
is
just
trying
did that
to
for
say
David's
something.
reaction. No, yeah,
Lucy's
Lucy is
trying to
definitely trying to say something.
What are
Compared
you
to,
doing
like,
with that
Halloween?
10% of your brain?
Come on, David.